Howdy, y'all. Caleb here. Oh boy, we're starting to get some Seraphon information for 4th edition, starting with the almighty KROXIGOR Warscroll was revealed on GW's website this morning, talking about combat and how some of the different combat mechanics work in 4th edition. So that's pretty exciting in and of itself. But we had to do a video on just how the new KROXIGOR look. I was hopeful that the KROXIGOR were going to get a kind of be a staple of 4th edition for Seraphon, specifically probably for the Coalesce side of things. And from the looks of it, they look to be pretty good. So I'm excited about that. We're going to break down how the new KROXIGOR looks. So here's a new War Scroll, simplified. You can see that KROXIGOR already weren't that complex of a unit. I think some things are missing, but also some things have gotten better. So we're going to break that down. First off, we notice that the move is the same. The save is the same. We got that 4-up save. The health, or wounds, what we used to call wounds, but now health, has gone up. We've got an extra wound here on the KROXIGOR. So they have a health of 6. That's great. You know, at this rate, by a few editions from now, KROXIGOR will be monsters or something. So they started off at 4 wounds. The last update for them got them up to 5 wounds. Now they're at 6 health in the 4th edition. That's awesome. I like seeing that for the KROXIGOR. They are giant, big, beefy models. So getting an extra pip of health here is very nice. Control is 2. That's kind of what they've been at currently, and that they'll count as 2 on an objective each model. And so that seems good. Here's where the interesting stuff starts happening. Their attack profiles are fairly similar, but they get a +1 to their wounds. So they're hitting on 4s, which is the same as it's been, and wounding on 2s. And so this brings to mind that it's possible the Kotal's Claw subfaction buff, where they get +1 to wound on the charge, is no longer going to be there. We're going to have something different. I'm wondering if the bite rolls for what is currently in Coalesce is going to be moving to those subfactions, maybe, or it'll just be a Coalesced whole thing, but it just has a rule there as the faction ability for the bite rolls, because the bite rolls are missing here from the KROXIGOR. So that's kind of a shame if those are gone completely, but I'm betting that's going to get added as one of the either faction or subfaction abilities for these units. What that's going to go off of, I have no idea. I could imagine it triggers off of, the amount of health they have. For every 2 health, you get 1 bite roll, something like that. I think that would kind of even out with what we see now. So maybe we'll see something like that. But so already we have a +1 to wound just natively on their War Scroll. I think that helps a lot. Rend is 1, damage 2. This is all for the Drake Bite Maul. But we have an interesting ability, anti-infantry. We get +1 rend. So that is pretty big, because previous to this, there weren't a whole lot of ways to increase that. We had Hoarfrost, we had the Salamander, the spawn of Chotek, which you would never, just was terrible. So having this against anti-infantry, this is already a unit that's good against infantry. We're just getting an extra buff there against that. So this means these guys are going to hit really hard against infantry. What's classified as infantry? A lot of stuff is. Even the KROXIGOR, you can see their keyword down here, is infantry. And so that will make them hit fairly hard against a lot of different units in the game. As far as their abilities go, you're still going to have, in a unit of 3, you're going to have 2 with the Drake Bite Maul and 1 with the Moonstone Hammer. And there's a passive ability here. And we know every unit is going to have some ability on its War Scroll. GW's already told us that. The KROXIGOR's passive ability is Brutal Blows. KROXIGOR swing their weapons in wide arcs, smashing aside a multitude of foes with each blow. The same kind of flavor that this Moonstone Hammer has always had. These KROXIGOR, they're going in and just swinging away at the enemy. The effect, add 1 to the damage characteristics of this unit's melee weapons for attacks that target an enemy unit that has 10 or more models. So this replaces the exploding 6s to hit when you're attacking 10 or more models, but now you just get a flat +1 damage. I think I like this better. This is going to hit extremely hard. So all 4 of those attacks on each of these weapons is going to do +1 damage against 10 or more models, and you get +1 rend. Whew, these things are going to be infantry horde killers. So I like that they have a very specific role here in on this war scroll. And so you could take them to do a job, and they're going to do that job very well. So I really like these abilities. Moonstone Hammer is, still hits better on 3s and 2s. Rend 2 versus infantry, and 4 damage versus 10 or more models. So I really like this war scroll. I did want to go down and look at what the damage does for this versus what we currently have. So I ran all these numbers into the Math Hammer app, and hopefully I got all these numbers right. I double checked them, and it looks like the 4th edition KROXIGOR are going to come out better. Now, I don't have any bytes factored into this, so if we were to add some bytes to this, we would add a few damage more onto the 3rd edition KROXIGOR, but I'm assuming there's going to be something like that onto the 4th edition. Even still, our 4th edition KROXIGOR come out better in just about every case of their damage output. So currently 3rd edition KROXIGOR, you're looking at charging them into a unit with 10 or more models, and then you're all out attacking them from some other unit or hero. Or you've got to either have a unit of skinks or a hero nearby to get them that. And they're doing decent damage. When you reinforce them, they're getting up to 28 damage, plus you'd probably get about 5 to 6 mortal wounds added onto that, depending on where you're at on the board for bytes. So you're looking at about 28 to 30 damage, somewhere in there, for current edition KROXIGOR. It's not bad. It's pretty good damage. There's better damage in the game than that, but it's still pretty reliable. 4th edition KROXIGOR tend to do better. Part of it's because, you're already getting the +1 wound that you would get normally on the charge, but now you're getting extra damage on each one of those hits. So it turns out that's a little bit better than the exploding 6s a hit. So if we look all the way down there at the max, we're taking 6 KROXIGOR versus infantry with 10 or more models, and we're getting all-out attack, which is still a thing. And you're clearing 40 damage on a 4-up save. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's what I'd like to see there for this unit. Now, we don't know the price. If they went up a significant amount in cost, then you might not see them as efficient as you would want them to be. But if they're costed about what they are now, this is a very good unit with a very specific purpose. It won't do this much damage versus everything, but if you can put one of these units reinforced into your army and get them into some infantry units, they are going to swing hard. So I really like how the new KROXIGOR are looking. Some of the other things that I wanted to point out from this article is they had a section on not being able to save stack anymore. So we see there that top section, fight, fight, fight. The second paragraph talks about how your save profile, we still have all-out defense, but your save caps out at +1. So it looks like they said in the next sentence, most factions lack any other tools to further increase a unit's save profile. So save stacking is largely a thing of the past. So that's a good sign. If there's not lots of extra ways to give +1 to save, then that makes rend more valuable. That makes the KROXIGOR who are getting rend just by swinging into infantry extremely valuable. -2 rend will be good again. Right now, -2 rend isn't quite all that it used to be. You really need -3 rend to punch through things. So if save stacking is gone, -2 rend is going to be very powerful again. So that's a good sign. Another interesting change was the coherency range. They've changed the coherency of units to 1/2 inch. It's still 6 or less models only have to be within 1/2 inch of one other model, but it used to be 1 inch. It's currently 1 inch. So that's a big reduction in how far you can like spread out screens. That's going to hurt other things like bigger hordes. Warriors, for example, it's going to be very hard to get like 10 warriors with clubs to do, its formation to all fight. I think that's balanced out by the fact that you can fight within 3 inches now, so everything can fight, so you don't have to worry about these weird formations anymore. So I think I'm okay with that coherency change. It does mean things like, your KROXIGOR and your Agrodons do have to stay a little bit closer to each other as you're moving around the board. That might make some of those pile-ins and getting all of them into combat a little bit more difficult. But overall, I think it's a fine change because we have the extended range of fighting. But keep that in mind, 1/2 inch is pretty small. Another one is retreating. So retreating, if you retreat now, you're going to take D3 mortal wounds while you're retreating. It does notice in here that it says some wily units may be able to use special abilities to slip out of combat without taking those mortal wounds. I would bet this is probably a special ability we'll see on skinks. It'll be interesting to see what their retreat mechanics will be, but I would love to see skinks return to the old ability where they can retreat out of combat and kind of break some rules there as they retreat out of combat. So it'll be interesting to see what skinks do as far as retreating, if they avoid those mortal damage and are able to play in that game a little bit. So just some highlights. But most importantly, I'm excited about this new KROXIGOR Warscroll. If you don't have any KROXIGOR, now might be the time to invest. I've got 15 that have been just waiting to see the table. And looks like 4th edition might be their chance. All of this, of course, depends on points and faction abilities and et cetera, et cetera. But if you're looking to jump in, there is a Vanguard box that is very good for Seraphon, and this will play into that Spearhead Vanguard game type that they have that is just one box versus another box. So you can pick those up. I think I'll try to put a link in the description where you can pick up one of those. But it does include 3 KROXIGOR. So start off your KROXIGOR list with this Vanguard if you're looking to jump in. All right, guys. We'll see y'all next time. Let's go KROXIGOR!